Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us as we wind down 2021. We're going to look ahead and see what's going to be happening in the digital marketing world for 2022. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get through our agenda quickly and dive right into this incredible information from our digital marketing experts. A few housekeeping notes. Please add any questions in the chat box throughout the presentation. I'll do my best to keep an eye on those questions and ask them to our presenters today. And we'll have time at the end, of course, to wrap up any questions. This session will be recorded and shared out to everyone who has RSVP'd. If you think maybe you didn't get on that RSVP list and you're just joining us today, well, you can certainly email us at learn@uvm.edu and make sure to get that recording. Here's a question for you, though, before we get started. Put in the chat box, what role are you in marketing? And maybe what industry are you in as well? We'll see if we can tailor some of these questions to the positions that you're in the industry that you are also in. So welcome, everybody. We're going to go over a brief introductions. I'll introduce you to this amazing team that we have as part of our Digital Marketing Fundamentals course. We're going to talk about the impact of the pandemic on digital marketing, a brief recap of what were some of the predictions for 2021. We're going to look at 2022 and some key takeaways. Make sure you leave with lots of good learning today. I will go over our Digital Marketing Fundamentals Professional Certificate Program because that's going to kick back in January as well. And I'll also share the added value that our students in Digital Marketing Fundamentals have is a free career coaching opportunity. So you're going to want to listen for that. And you are going to learn a lot of information today. So you will have a digital badge for your participation and your learning. So stick around. I will share that with you in just a few minutes. So good afternoon and happy holidays to everyone. My name is Nicole Willier-Fenton. I am our content marketing manager in the professional and continuing education department here at the University of Vermont. And leading our digital marketing fundamentals, our lead instructor, Mr. Erik Harbison, joins us as well. Erik has been building digital marketing teams, working in digital marketing, and he assists people as they grow in their career in digital marketing today with his new company, themarketinghelp.co. And Kim Jones joins us. She's a new instructor in our Digital Marketing Fundamentals. Kim, we're so happy to have you here and to share your insight as a digital marketing strategist for Sheer Interactive. And you're going to lead some of that digital marketing strategy and looking ahead what's going to happen in 2022. And Tyler, we're so happy to have you joining us from snowy Utah. He was just sharing with us that they just got dumped on with a whole bunch of snow. And Tyler runs the social media at Bamboo HR, and he's going to share more about what's happening in social media. This is the team. So just wanted to make sure that you know that we have Tyler and Kim and Erik, but there's an incredible team also working with them on our Digital Marketing Fundamentals certificate. So about a year ago, Erik and I and another instructor, Liz Willits, in our fundamentals had a conversation about what's coming up for 2021. And I just wanted to share some of those points because many of them probably will continue to resonate in 2022. The importance of community in digital marketing, especially social media, newsletters, email marketing. They're not dead. They continue to grow. Audio and video, probably not a big surprise there in terms of increased trending. And I know Erik will share a little bit more about where he's seeing some of those trends for 2022. And voice search. How many times during the pandemic did you ask Alexa, where can I find toilet paper near me? Just think about those things that we have seen in the pandemic and what can continue in terms of digital marketing strategies going forward. All right, let's dive in. First up, Mr. Erik Harbison, looking at some of the trends for the marketer, the customer.
Sure. Yeah. So thank you, Nicole. Happy to be here. And again, keep the questions coming. If anything that we cover here, you want further insights on, or you have something specific to what you're doing in your day-to-day, throw the question in the chat. So I want to cover quickly just some high-level trends to expect for 2022. And I'm coming at it from three different angles. One is, what can you expect the marketer next year and beyond to be thinking or to be designed? Then let's talk about the customer. And then lastly, the plan that you're about to execute for next year. Let's make sure it's content centric, and I'll tell you why. So coming at it from a macro and micro standpoint, when I talk about the trends when it comes to the marketer, so those that are in the marketing positions, when I think about what are the trends you should be expecting, the words I shared here are indicative of what's been happening. We're responding as marketers to what's been going on in the world, but we're also making sure that we are executing is being more transparent, empathetic to our customers. And quite frankly, if you think about it, how many of these campaigns, ads, commercials have you seen where there seems to be some sort of purposeful tie to it? Give one, get one. Now, again, these models have been around, but they're a little more prominent now, just given where we're coming from and what we're about to head into, as there's a lot of unknown still in terms of what the market's going to be doing. So as a marketer, you're 100% focused on that customer list you've been building. You've been getting closer to your customer in the pandemic. Now, what do you do with that? Now that you've built some of that relationship, there's going to be more customer-centric, teams on the marketing side. Tyler's going to talk a little bit more about community, but it is something that has even become more important, where now there's a bigger focus on having teams just focus on helping out customers. And then let me throw a new acronym at you. We all know ROI, return on investment, but what about the return on the relationship that you have with your customer? Are you measuring that? How do you measure that? And it isn't necessarily just sales, but it could be in the form of, are you surveying your customers? And I'd expect a lot more of that coming from brands and marketers in the next year. Let me flip now and go through the customer trend. So what does the customer look like next year? And, I talk about privacy as the first bullet point. Think about this. How many of you have friends or family, parents, grandparents, uncles, those that are in the outside of the marketing industry that have been talking to you about privacy concerns? When it starts to hit that community and those folks, guess what? It's a widespread thing that is noticed, and that's the customer. The customer is aware of what's happening with their privacy. And therefore, again, that's going to influence some of the marketing campaigns. Are you seeing more value from the brands that you love? We know loyalty is a big deal, but from the customer, they're expecting more from you as a brand. What do you plan to deliver for your respective companies that provides more value? And then lastly is, listen, in the last year, we've been conditioned to get things our way. DoorDash and curbside pickup and all these things that are revolving around us as a customer. But think about next year and how we're going to be doing that. The expectation level is higher. How can you be providing more my way experiences for the customer that you're servicing? Lastly, real quick, when it comes to the campaign that you're about to run next year, think about the content that you're creating. Content is one of the ways that we're cutting through the clutter. And the question is, what kind of content are you creating? And we talked audio and video last year, but I think video by nature has exploded because we've had more time on devices, and thus we're more entertained. And we hate to admit how much time we spend swiping, not just our children or kids or teens or college students, but us that are parents and that are in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Yes, we're all guilty of it, but it's engaging. It's how marketers are creating campaigns to get attention. Google just announced in their latest algorithm update that content, believe it or not, content is something that they are putting a little bit of more weight into. Meaning, if you're a brand, don't worry so much about the keywords as much as you should be worrying more about the relevant content you're creating for your brand on your site and around your site. And then lastly, when it comes to positions, careers, is your team prepared to run a campaign, but do you have the right people on board, the right skills on board? Meaning there's been a explosion of roles tied to content creation, editing, production roles. So if that's a gap you have, no surprise, look for that individual out there. They're ready to be hired.
Absolutely. And we certainly know from other conversations that many people have been having is the influx of different job opportunities and careers and people moving around. So really important if you are in the field of digital marketing to be keeping an eye on content, and if you do have those holes and opportunities too. And I want to just piggyback on something Erik was saying in terms of Google talking about content. And Kim, this is maybe a good segue into you, is I'm starting to notice search results having more videos on the search result page itself, not just looking then into a tab looking for video, but video becoming so important is actually being served up with the other content right out in front of you. Let's walk through what else we're seeing and what you predict for 2022. Kim.
Thanks, Nicole. That is a great example of Google understanding exactly what the user is looking for and the intent that they have to consume and the format that they have to consume. Google has millions and billions of data points like that they are using to fuel their ads automation machines. So in 2021, we've seen an uptick in automation focus in ad platform providers, specifically in keyword match targeting. We've seen Google really shift to an intent-based keyword bidding method. I predict that we're going to continue to see that in 2022. We've seen Google do away with expanded text ads in paid search. They are now forcing marketers, thankfully, to rely on responsive search ads because Google has the data points that they need to provide the right message to the right customer at the right time. And because of that, we will see less of a focus on marketers doing tactical things like ad creative, keyword targeting, demographic targeting, and more reliance on automation in paid media. Now that's great because that gives us as marketers the chance to spend less of our time doing tactics and more of our time crafting our strategy. Erik talked a lot about customer-centric marketing and the customer-centric marketer, but something that we're going to see a lot more of in 2022 is users having continued higher expectations for what they expect from the content that they receive from a brand and the experience. So not only are we going to have to get to know our audience a little bit better, but we're going to have to continue to tailor the ad experiences that we serve them to who they are outside of their demographics. So now we can move into psychographic targeting. What are their motivators? What are the messages that resonate the best with them? What are their fears and what is stopping them from buying? And address all of that through our ad content rather than just focusing on what our keywords are. Another thing that Erik touched on, but that I just continue to see brands miss the mark, and I really hope is an opportunity that's garnered in 2022, is leveraging the wealth of free feedback that exists on the internet for brands' experiences. More than ever, we are seeing consumers turn to places like Twitter and Reddit to give feedback, both positive and negative, about experiences that they have had with brands. There are tons of ways to mine that data and incorporate that messaging on your landing pages, incorporate that imaging in your content, incorporate it in your ads. If you don't, your competitors will. And so getting close to your audience is the #1 way that Erik and I both see marketers being able to win in 2022. And then finally, with us as marketers getting closer to our audience, we need to figure out a way to do something with all of that data. So Tyler's going to talk about social media, but there's going to be an increased focus on how do we use second-party targeting like social, like programmatic, to bolster our ability to collect more of that information from our customers. How do we actually get them onto our site, answering our surveys, filling out our forms, and be able to do something with it? So what do we do with it? We put it into a platform called a CDP, or a customer data platform. In 2021, we saw a huge focus on digital transformation as enterprises figured out how to move into a digital-first world. And now with the degradation of third-party cookies, this is only more and more important. We have to be able to collect our own customer and audience data. We have to be able to segment it appropriately. We have to be able to do something with it across all of our channels. And why do I talk about all of our channels? Because we see in all of the channels in marketing, but specifically in analytics, even Google is moving away from first or last touch attribution in Google Ads. They're moving to data-driven attribution as the primary method of attribution. This is an indication that even Google understands that every single touch point that a customer has with your brand could be equally important. It's not about where did they come from or where did they convert. It's about providing an excellent experience at every single step of the way. So from a more technical perspective, we need to be able to do something with that. And capturing more of our first party data, being able to do something with it, and looking at the way we measure it is what I see a big focus needing to be in 2022.
Awesome. It makes me also think we did a conversation probably about a month and a half ago with two other instructors in digital marketing fundamentals, Christopher Hill and Nick Matter. And Nick was talking about skill sets in a LinkedIn survey in terms of what are people looking for in digital marketing positions. And no surprise, Kim, data analytics came up time and time again. So what I'm really hearing is we can't just look at the data anymore. We have to understand what to do with it and how to make an impact with that information as well. I think that's really going to continue to be a trend. So let's thank you both, Kim and Erik, as well. So let's jump over to Tyler. So we've heard content, which I bet some of these things you're like, yes, I love content. It's social. It's everything that I do, and let's do more of it. But we've also got to break through because now there is so much more of it in the social channels. How in the world are brands going to be able to get the attention of their customers in social as well? So I know that's a big question. So Tyler, why don't you take it away? We'll dive a little bit into
absolutely.
that as well.
Hey everyone, it's welcome. It's welcome. Wow, guys, I can't talk today already. It is great to be here. I love talking about social media. It's something that is so important nowadays, especially over these last 2 years, as we've seen people move to remote work. We're seeing people. One of the silver linings of the pandemic is finally this reckoning of social media is more than just the intern's job. You know, we need professionals. We need people with strategy. We need a plan, and so that's great. But also at the same time, it also means that the market for competition is just intense. And I love this tweet. This is from Jack Appleby. He's one of the directors of social for Twitch. He's worked for a ton of great brands. He's an excellent follow on Twitter. For everyone here, marketers aren't on LinkedIn. They're not on Facebook. They're on Twitter. So if you want to, really connect with people, learn and grow, Twitter is a great place. And I love this tweet because when you think about it, these social channels, you have one feed, and that has posts from your Disneys to your ESPNs to your crazy uncle and aunts to your spouse or significant other to brands you follow to people you haven't seen since high school. You have one feed, and everyone is scrambling for your attention, and it's tough. It's something I've seen in the channels that I manage for Bamboo HR. We're an HR software company. It has become harder and harder to break through just because so many more people are spending more time on social because we can work remotely and we have a little more free time to be on social. But it's just so incredibly difficult. And so one of the things that I found is the way for us to really break through from all of that is really understanding your audience and what is your central hub. Every audience is going to have a platform that speaks more to them. For instance, for my current job at Bamboo HR, it's HR professionals. So that's recruiters, CFOs, HR generalists, directors of HR, chief people officers, payroll providers, you name it, anything with HR. LinkedIn is going to be their main platform. And so we use LinkedIn as that main hub, but also at the same time, you have to make sure that then you have the correct content to be able to spit it out to other platforms and to adapt it to what they need. Something that Erik talked about earlier is, video obviously has exploded along with audio marketing, but we have seen social channels kind of chase trends. I think we all can remember the hot second that LinkedIn had stories, Twitter had stories, and those are now gone because those platforms just no one cares. But that doesn't mean people still aren't trying. We're seeing more and more YouTube is rolling out clips where you can now have quick story-like videos that you can then share out on your other social channels. So long story short, know your hub, know where your audience hangs out, create content specifically for that hub. For instance, LinkedIn, they love poll questions. Those will get sometimes 3 to 6 times more engagement, reach, comments. And the more that I found, the more that you kind of can play by those rules of channels, the more you'll be able to increase your engagement across the board as well. So long story short from this slide, everyone remember, if you really want to learn, find your hub, get on Twitter. There are so many just fantastic marketing people that are willing to help. If you have questions, make sure that you do that. Now, also kind of going back into video, this is something that I think is crucial now. And let's talk about TikTok. And if I could see your faces, I'm sure I could see a lot of people rolling their eyes and thinking like, oh my gosh, Tyler, this is like for my teenage, son or daughter just to do funny dances. And yes, that's true. That is definitely a key part of TikTok. But if you really drill down into the analytics, this is something I just saw the other day. Instagram is now falling behind TikTok. I saw another article where in the UK, TikTok overcame YouTube in total views for a month. And so some of the reasons that is because of the way TikTok is built. The algorithm knows you. It's pretty creepy how great the TikTok algorithm is. And what's really interesting as well, it's not just for dances anymore. Over the summer, I had an intern and she just worked on me so hard. She's like, Tyler, TikTok is what we have to try it for recruiting and for showcase our company culture. And she created a whole presentation for me about the 90 million plus HR specific conversations that are happening on TikTok every month. And so I had to swallow my pride
Wow.
and say, okay, let's look into this. And so as we did, I discovered like she was right. TikTok is huge for HR. I mean, a great example of that just recently is the Better.com layoff just fiasco. If you haven't heard about that, Google that one. It's terrible. Long story short, the CEO laid off 900 people over a Zoom call in about 3 minutes. Went viral across, from traditional media to social media. And one of the things that I found on TikTok from HR professionals and influencers is they were, giving their take on things, and they were providing feedback and commentary. And the engagement on those TikTok videos, not just from a video perspective, they had hundreds of thousands of views, but the engagement from the comments, people who were engaging in those conversations was just fascinating. And so I invite all of you to really understand and to, don't just brush off TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube clips. These short, to the point videos are fantastic. Like for instance, just for fun, I follow a guy who makes old timey recipes from like the 20s and 30s, and it's absolutely fascinating because it scratches my itch. I love baking. That's one of the things I really enjoy doing, but I'm also a history nerd. And it's really fun to see what people used to bake during the Great Depression. And is he doing anything earth-shattering? No. But again, it's educational, it's fun, and you're in it and you're out. TikTok they just upped their video link to 3 minutes, but you still don't see those very long. You still see mostly in that 30 seconds to a minute. So I invite all of you all just to really take that time, look at TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube clips, and think, and do your research to see if your audience is there and to see what you can do for that. And then finally, community. This is something that we've seen more and more, and this is an example from our product community page that we have on LinkedIn. But this is something that I learned firsthand during the pandemic. So I'm sure, like lots of people, as we were all stuck inside, we were looking for things to do, and that didn't require people or crowds. And I jumped on the e-bike bandwagon. And I've always loved riding my bike, but I do live in Utah. There are mountains everywhere, and my road bike, it's rough. There are tons of massive hills around my house, and I'm getting older and I'm getting lazier. And I thought, e-bikes, that's what I should do. And so what was really interesting as I started to do the research, the first place I discovered everyone hung out was Facebook. And this was shocking because I have a very much a hate relationship with Facebook. That's a separate topic for another day. But there was a massive Facebook community of people who were enthusiastic about e-bikes. And what was really fascinating was the CEOs of these different e-bike companies were active participants in these groups. And it was fantastic because the group was not run by, a specific bike company, but it was a collection of people. And so people felt much more free to give their honest opinions. And the CEOs of the companies, they would jump in and answer questions. They were active participants. And that was a really cool experience for me because I realized, don't write off Facebook quite yet. And the same thing with groups as a whole. It's definitely more on Facebook and LinkedIn, but people are dying for that place where they can go and find their people. That is one of the coolest things about social media, along with all the extra garbage that goes along with it, the ability to connect and then to be able to have a community of people where you can freely, be yourself and ask questions and feel like you're not being sold to and be able to engage with, you know, companies in a much more informal way is huge. And it's something that we're seeing more and more. I mean, this is a more of a product community for our software users, but we're starting to use it more and more to mine it for some awesome data about how people really feel about our product, about how they feel about certain HR trends. We're starting to pull more insights from these communities to create our own content to make sure that we're on the right track. Because, I've been in marketing now 12 plus years, but I'm not in HR, and so I need to be able to go to people who live it in the day out and a day out basis and be able to learn from them and to be able then to create content and campaigns that actually match what people want. Because again, that goes back to my first point. We can have awesome campaigns all laid out, but if that's not what people want or care about, they're not going to get that engagement that we need. So again, long story short, groups on Facebook and LinkedIn, not a bad thing to give them a second look.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent advice. Thank you so much, Tyler. And hello, Anson. I did see you in the group participation as well. So nice to have you joining us. So interesting, because I want to ask our participants, of some of the tips that you just heard today, are they on your radar? Are you doing more video? Are you planning more video? Are you looking at automation in your digital marketing, in your digital marketing and your spend? Do you have community groups already on your social channels, or will you plan to do? I'd love to hear from anybody in the chat. So these are the kinds of things that we talk about and you learn from this incredible team. And I showed the picture a few minutes ago about the additional faculty and instructors in our digital marketing fundamentals. So of course I have to plug the program because it's an amazing program. And it is online. It will kick in again in January. So if you are wanting to dive deeper into these areas, and I know we're talked a little bit about digital paid advertising, overall marketing and social, but we also dive deep into email, mobile, search engine optimization, lots of different topics in the course as well. So please do reach out and learn more about the course if you're interested in expanding your knowledge in digital marketing. But you did just expand your knowledge today. So I want to make sure that we recognize that you have learned from our instructor. So we have a digital badge for your participation today. It's super fun to add these to your LinkedIn profile, today's resume, as I'm sure Erik will tell you. Add this kind of learning to your own profile and to build your brand and your expertise in digital marketing as well. And how it works, you can just indicate that you are interested in this. You will receive an email from it's called Credly, and a claim is what it is. And you will get an email with the badge, and you need to accept that badge, and then you get it, and you can tell the world about your learning in digital marketing. As I mentioned, it starts again on January 24th. There's another one coming up in April. You can see some information there. We do have discounts for a variety of different organizations and alumni of the University of Vermont as well. You can register on our website. But I also wanted to share, we talked a little bit in the beginning about, the Great Resignation. People are moving, people are shifting all around, people are upskilling, they're changing careers, they're expanding. We have an opportunity for you at no charge with the digital marketing fundamentals that you can get one-on-one career coaching as well. So that is an add-on after the course with our career coach, Sue Schlom. Questions for this team? I just wanted to give some opportunity as we're winding down here. to ask any questions. And thank you, Margaret, for sharing that you're doing more video. I think that's something that we're all trying to do in a variety of different ways, from short videos. And we've seen success in YouTube Shorts, something that's about 15 seconds as well. In some of our videos, we're doing a lot of mix of profile, longer form, shorter form, and a lot of animation too, really trying to mix up while still being on brand for our video products as well. So please do share any questions that you may have for our team. And what did you learn today? Here's a quick little recap. The 2022 marketer: transparency. I think many of these we've seen, and it just continues to grow. The purposeful: automation, better get to know that automation in your digital paid, and leveraging what Kim was talking about is that customer data platforms for data-driven decision making. It's going to be the name of the game as we continue to have more digital marketing and more paid marketing as well. The customer, Erik was talking about this too, privacy. And Tyler was too. We know a lot more, and that's a good thing in terms of the social channels and the different big giants in our digital world in terms of what's happening. And I think we'll become more educated in that space as well. And customers are expecting a lot from brands, and they do want to be with like-minded people, and they want to have the opportunity to ask good questions and give good feedback, as Tyler was mentioning as well. And that marketing plan, music to my ears: content, content, content. Keep focusing on relevant content. And Kim was saying that the algorithm, and also Erik was too, with Google, is focused on content. It's not as much the keywords, it's that relevant content. So what is your content plan for 2022? And maybe we'll leave on this note: TikTok. It's where we need to go, apparently. So get out your dancing shoes, maybe get out some baking wear. I'm not sure exactly if that's where you're seeing the videos, Tyler, but TikTok, don't be afraid, embrace it, learn about it as well. Erik, I might come back to you. Any last minute, any parting words on, you also see a lot of people moving in this industry and looking for jobs. Of the things that we've talked about today, how does that translate into job opportunities? Will digital marketing continue to be a hot career, do you think, in 2022?
Yes, and I don't think it's going to stop. You look at the growth in the last 6 months in terms of the opportunities that have become open, because when you think of the great resignation, the great quit, the great reshuffle, whatever it is, there have been some marketers that have been successful that decided to go to become a new whatever in a different industry. So it's left opportunities to fill those positions. Now, I don't think that quitting is going to keep on going, but there's opportunities for everyone here that's in marketing to find their next marketing opportunity, but also for those that are not in marketing to get into marketing, where there's a lot of transferable skills. You look at all the things we talked about. Guess who has the right skills for those types of roles to help with those things? Everybody, right? Empathetic listener can write. There are transferable skills that lets anybody become a successful marketer.
Absolutely. And I think that it's a good point that those career opportunities are not slowing down. And Digital Marketing Fundamentals, if you want to gain those skills, January 24th. We hope to see many of you in our next session of digital marketing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Erik, as always, for guiding us onto those trends. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Don't forget to claim that digital badge for your participation. And we wish you all good health and a happy new year. Happy holidays, too. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.